Ladies and gentlemen, the Dean Martin Comedy Hour presents a special 90-minute roast with tonight's guests, Dan Rowan, Jack Klugman, Dick Martin, Joey Bishop, Cliff Robertson, Lauren Green, Kelly Savalas, Rich Little, Bob Newhart, Foster Brooks, Nipsey Russell, Pat Henry, Charlie Callis, Captain Eugene Cernan, Carol Channing, Phyllis Dillard, Kirk Douglas, and your roastmaster, Dean Martin. And tonight's very special man of the week, Mr. Don Rickles.
Tonight, we're roasting Don Rickles. Rickles is the man about whom Adolf Hitler once said, "From him I could learn." Don's idea of a fun evening is to show home movies of the attack on Pearl Harbor with a laugh track. Yeah, Don's got a great sense of humor. He gets his kicks calling in phony reprieves to the death house. Don Rickles has the distinction of being the only civilian that was ever impeached. Don inherited his sense of humor. His mother and father were great practical jokers. That's how Don was born. He was even a rotten kid. One Christmas he hung his sock on the tree and the tree died. You're burning, but you're laughing, I know. But that's all behind Don now. Today he's a much bigger success than I am. After all, he's had 4 TV series and I've only had 1. Oh boy, they say that behind every clown is a sad man. In Don's case, it's Robert Wood, the president of CBS. Few people know this, but Don's worked hard in show business to attain one goal, to save up enough money to send his mother back behind the Iron Curtain. Always a pleasure now, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to introduce Mr. Joey Bishop. Joey was a little late getting here. He was in Johnny Carson's garage loosening Johnny's brakes. One of my favorite comedians, Mr. Joey Bishop.
When they asked me to appear on the dais for Don Rickles, I said, I don't know what to say about Don Rickles. And they said, say whatever you want to say. Okay, Don Rickles is a bedwetter. Not only the bed, everywhere. He's the only one on the dais with a rubber tuxedo. I really, in my heart, I must say, I cannot believe we're paying tribute to him. I mean it. I mean, we've had big names here. Then we go to him. Or who we honoring next week? Prickly Heat? You're gonna honor somebody. I honor a man like Dr. Jonas Salk. A man who helps fight diseases. Why are we honoring a carrier? And is known for his hostility. And I ask you, from the bottom of my heart, what has he to be hostile about? What can a short, paunchy, bold, old, ugly person possibly have to be hostile about? Be happy-go-lucky, you devil. Does have a great sense of humor. I mean, not on stage. I'm talking about practical jokers, number one. You remember the time you took the safety belt off of Mickey Rooney's toilet seat? Remember that? Mickey almost drowned? Then I found out, and this was the shocker, because I know you don't gamble in Vegas, you don't go to the track. I found out you're a bingo addict. I called your wife, Barbara. I said, Barbara, what is Don really like? And she said, every night, bingo. I'm sure you all know why we are here, because we love this gentleman. Don Rinkles is a fine person, a great entertainer, a wonderful father, and a great husband. In spite of what he says on stage, I know in my heart that he's really a good egg, and you all know where eggs come from.
Thank you, Joey. A little while back, Phyllis Diller had a facelift, and it really did wonders for her. Now when she walks down the street, the guys look at her and say, oh, boy, that's because she looks like one. Ladies and gentlemen, a nice lady, a lovely lady, a great comedian, Miss Phyllis Diller.
Thank you very much, Dean. You know, the man we are roasting tonight took first prize on this last Halloween for his costume. He painted the top of his head blue and went as a ballpoint pen. He's sort of unlucky, you know, he lost all his hair and still has dandruff. My friend Don Rinkles has all the charm of an earthquake. And I wrote this junk myself. But he's kind to animals. Every night he puts his cat out with ether. They should never pull the pin out of the grenade in his mouth. Not get him any better. You know, if they're bad, there's no saving them. Don, baby, you know I'm only kidding with all of this. I wish I could say how I really feel about you. But then I'd never get on television again.
Ladies and gentlemen, the most distinguished actor, the star of Grief, Griffin. Mr. Lauren Green.
Don is a very big favorite of mine. But then, of course, I've always liked animal acts. I've been listening here to people casting aspersions on Don and about his ability in many areas, but particularly as a comic. And I think that's rather cruel. And as an actor, I object to the discrimination, because Don is a pretty rotten thespian, too. You know what a thespian is, Dean?
Oh, sure, I got a turn down from one of them the other night.
Right on. Well, let me say this about Don Rickles as an actor. He's had a very long theatrical career. You could list all his hit shows on a piece of confetti. And not many people know this. This is a fact, but Don was part of the Bonanza cast for all the 14 years we were on television. He was our fourth son. The one we kept in a home. But Don is now blessed with a very beautiful wife, Barbara, 2 marvelous children, and a mother who has moved to Florida, changed her name, and sends Don money every week to stay away. Don, there will always be a place for you in the theater. A place where you can do the thing which you are greatest at doing. And it's right up the aisle, second to the left.
Our next guests are Rowan and Martin. If you've seen them, you know that they're a very unusual team. 2 straight men. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of real funny guys, Dan Rowan and Dick Martin.
You're on Martin's spot.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is it.
We have not come to praise Don Rickles, nor have we come to bury him.
No.
He has managed to do that pretty well over the years himself. Now, we have always wondered why Don is so successful and can only be laid to his material.
Great material.
Right. So we have collected some of the greatest of Don Rickles' material, and every word you're going to hear is from Don Rickles' own mouth. These
Verbatim.
are direct quotes.
Right.
What did you say?
Verbatim.
Very good.
Thank you. First of all, here's one here. It's just in case there's a colored guy on the dais. It says,
There happens to be one.
Yeah. To you, Nipsey, sorry about the seating arrangement. At first, they wanted you out in the hall with a bucket. Here, I'll make you feel at home. All aboard!
If there's a Mexican on it, is there a Mexican in the audience?
Must be.
You Mexicans. Hello, Jose. You Mexicans never fool around with a wife. You're too busy laying on the floor fixing the mud so it don't cave in. Anyway, gang. What is anyway? What is
It says it a lot, I don't know.
Anyway, gang.
Anyway,
I
gang.
must have read it wrong.
I guess so. Sir, you're Welsh, huh? I'll make you feel at home. Woo! Mine cave in. You'll never see a Jew coal miner. They're usually in the cabin saying, Irving, there's a cave-in down there. But anyway, gang.
Anyway, gang. I spent a very thrilling evening with... These are come back to haunt you, don't they? I spent a very thrilling evening with Dean Martin once. I watched a fly go up a drape. Anyway, gang.
I think there's more to that.
Oh, but we need the Italians. That's right. This is the savor.
Yeah.
What for? Oh, yeah, your pizza's ready, lady.
I quote the words of the great Indian, Geronimo, as he jumped on his horse. Ooh! Anyway, gang.
He does that a lot. He quotes it. Remember the words of Abraham Lincoln, who said to his black servant, "Stop that tap dancing and give me back my high hat." Anyway, gang.
One of the greatest black men of our day, Rufus Johnson, said in Augusta, Georgia, "Run, baby, run!" And the Jew was right behind him saying, "Look, I'll sell you a bike."
fair to tell you, he's the one that divided these up. Look I quote the words of a great General Robert E. Lee, who said at Gettysburg, "I think we blew it."
You there, fella, how long you been married? 4 days? God bless you. Young Jewish kid, right? If her father-in-law dies, what kind of work are you out of?
I know that you gave me these, but you should have taken this one because I don't understand. What is this?
That's the biggie.
What do you mean?
Oh,
the
that's
biggie?
that's the one that does it.
What is this?
Oh,
This is his exit?
This is the funniest,
This is how he closes the act.
yeah.
In show business, you close with a
That's
big one.
right.
I'll do my best for
Go
you.
ahead.
Show business is my life. My humor, ladies and gentlemen, is directed in a way to laugh at ourselves.
It's beautiful.
If you accept if you accept it in that spirit, I am deeply grateful. If not, where's the hell's the punchline?
Right here.
Oh, we're getting to it.
Yeah.
If not, I wish you what you deserve, a glass of hot milk and a trip to Tijuana.
That's it.
That's a finish. There's Don.
That's it.
Would you all please welcome the man who writes every word that comes out of Don's mouth?
Thank you, Dino, baby. It is a real kick in the tuchus to be here tonight, honoring my buddy boys, that real sweetheart of a guy, Donald Rinkles. This is the man who gave me my break in show business. It is not easy getting started as a writer. Not too many comics come to Argentina shopping for jobs. Miss sends his regards. It has been an honor and a pleasure to be associated with you. You are a real pussycat. I have watched you perform in New York, in Hollywood, in Miami Beach, in Paris, in London, in Vegas. You are the only man I know who has found more places than I have.
Actor, Mr. Casey Kassan, ladies and gentlemen. When it comes to comedy, Bobby Newhart knows where it's at. Why he don't go get it, I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, the funniest psychiatrist I know, Mr. Bob Newhart.
Bob Newhart spot. Don is my best friend, which just gives you some idea of the difficulty I have in making friends. As some of you may have already known, Don's hotel room was recently robbed. The only thing that was taken was the music to Don's act. So far, the Chicago police have picked up 33,000 people who might have had a possible motive. Don is just about to sign one of the largest deals in the history of Las Vegas. Why he is signing Frank's deal, we'll never know. But Don has not done that well in television. He's had 4 series now. The last one, a couple of Dons received a -4 Nielsen rating. This means not only that no one watching, but several people without TV sets had heard about the show and said if they got one, they wouldn't watch it. That doesn't matter. I'm going to get it later, so I may as well stay up here a few more times. But Don's career continues to skyrocket. Will be announced in a few days in the trades, in the papers, that Don has been chosen as the national spokesman for Preparation H, which we're all quite excited about. Many unkind things have been said about Don. As his best friend, I think it's incumbent upon me to tell you the true facts. And I don't think Don will take umbrage at this because Don doesn't know what the hell umbrage means. It's been said that Don never helps other performers. I remember when I was starting out, Don pulled me aside and gave me some advice. We have a saying in our business, be nice to people on the way up because you meet the same people on the way down. Don told me you run into entirely different people and the hell with them. Many people say Don is not a good father, but Don is very proud of his daughter Mindy and his son Larry. I know this, I was in his house at the time. Larry came in, Larry wanted a turtle, and Don rushed out, because anything Larry wants, he immediately rushes to get, as soon as the football game is over. And he brought him back a turtle, and Larry gave it to him the next day and said, the turtle has blisters on his feet. And Don took it back to the pet shop. And the owner said, that's impossible. The turtles don't get blisters on their feet, and gave him some salve. And Don helped Larry put the salve on the turtle's feet. And the next day, Don brought back the turtle. It again had blisters. This went on for 5 days. Finally gave him a new turtle. Don took it back to Larry and gave it to him. And just as he was leaving, he turned around. Something told him to turn around, and there was Larry going,
Diamonds may be a girl's best friend, but Carol is an audience's best friend. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the lovely and talented star of Lorelei, Miss Carol Channing.
You know, I cannot understand why everyone here tonight keeps picking on poor dear sweet Don. He's really a very good-hearted man. Truly he is. I remember once when I was appearing at the Waldorf Astoria in New York, and I used to sing a number called Don't Take Your Love From Me. Well, I was singing this song one night, and when I got to the part that goes, would you take the wings from birds so that they can't fly? Don was the only person in the audience who stood up and shouted, yes, yes! I love audience participation, don't you? Yes. Oh, he's a dear. Yes. So you see, I am here tonight as one of Don Rinkles' friends. It's a minority group. There's so many terrible things have been said about Don tonight that I would like to say a few nice words about him. You see, I'm not like all of you gentlemen here on the dais. I don't hate Don. Really, I don't, because as our president said, you can't hate anybody you don't respect.
Now I'd like to introduce Nipsey Russell. Nipsey is living proof that black is beautiful, not funny, but beautiful. There he is, my good pal, Mr. Nipsey.
They found an orangutan suffering with a hernia, fed him poison from a rattlesnake bite, gave him the soothing voice of a wild hyena, and he is man of the week tonight. Don Rinkles, who has the personality of a lemon taster, is not without compassion for his fellow performer. When Peg-Leg Bates was seriously ill and down on his luck, Don Rinkles gave him money. He said, I know it's tough on you, Peg. Here's a few dollars to help you out till you get back on your foot. He has suffered rejection, frustration. Only yesterday, in a moment of flirtatious, sexy attitude, he tried to pick up a woman on Hollywood and Vine. And he was chased away by the 2 Boy Scouts that were helping her across the street. She hit him with a crutch. It's because you're hostile, Don. Patterned after Dean Martin, a sex symbol and a superstar who upped his prestige in the business through charm and grace. He upped his prestige, Don. Up yours. He said, Dean, in my act, I do a song called I'm a Nice Guy. He said, but my musical performance is a little awkward. What should I do with my hands while I'm singing? Dean said, put them over your mouth. In his humor, he makes some ethnic slurs. Well, once when we were all in Florida, I saw Sammy Davis Jr. water skiing through the Everglades, enjoying himself immensely. At the wheel of that boat in the broiling hot sun, pulling Sammy Davis on the water skis, was Don Rinkles. I had to shout my commendation. I said, Don, you're beautiful, working so hard to entertain your little friend. I said, you're personifying brotherhood. He said, I'm baiting alligators. Many friends in many places, before many groups by his philosophical observations. Before a physical fitness group, he said, if you want to look young, hang out with old people. At a Billy Graham revival, he said, if you want to be forgiven for your sins, the first thing you got to do is sin. At the Naval Academy, he said, don't give up the ship, sell it. To Marlon Brando, he said, forget about the Indians. If they're not happy the way we treat them, let them go back where they came from. I was going to write a song about you tonight, Don, but the notes on the piano don't go that low. So I say to you, blow the trumpet of brotherhood, beat the freedom drum, but don't sing along with my people or we shall not overcome.
Mr. Cliff Robertson is a fine actor who won an Oscar for his portrayal of an imbecile in the movie Charlie. And after you hear him, you'll know why they picked him for that part. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most versatile actors in Hollywood, Mr. Cliff Robertson.
Thank you, Dean. I'm very happy to be here tonight because I happen to know something about Don Rinkles that might interest you. For the past 20 years, Don has been leading a double life. By night, he's one of America's foremost comedians, the king of the insult, the pasha of the put-down. But by day, he has a different profession. By day, Don Rinkles is a priest. That's right. He's pastor right here in Los Angeles at the parish of St. Hockey Puck. I don't know why you should be so surprised to find out that Don is a priest. After all, Joey's a bishop, and Eva Marie's a saint, and I'm in a hell of a lot of trouble right now. Father Don has totally devoted his life to good works. Every penny he earns as a comedian, he donates to the Don Rinkles Home for the Incurably Obnoxious. Some of his congregation have taken a while to get used to Don's style in his sermon. The church organist wasn't too flattered when Don asked him where his monkey was. And a little nun was a little startled once when Don told the man sitting next to her to please keep his penguin on a leash. Few people were taken aback at first by Don's version of the marriage ceremony. Do you, dum-dum, take this fish face to be your lawfully wedded yo-yo? But Don has been very successful as a priest. The members of his parish are very careful not to commit any sins whatsoever. That's because for a penance, Don makes them watch reruns of his old TV series.
Incidentally, some of Don's friends couldn't be here. You're amazed how I can talk without looking at the cue card. But they sent you some wires, and I'm going to read some. I am. Oh, God. I never saw you this close up, you know. Good Lord. There's one from Herb Schlosser, the president of NBC. Dear Don, you had a series on ABC Friday night at 10 o'clock. It was canceled. Then you had a series on CBS Friday night at 10:30. That was canceled. Do me a favor, Don. Get off Dean's show fast. Our next guest is Jack Klugman. You all know Jack. He's half of the Odd Couple. Maybe next time we'll get the funny half. Ladies and the winner of 2 Emmy Awards, Mr. Jack Klugman.
Don has appeared with a lot of great stars, as we know. Clark Gable and Tony Curtis, Debbie Reynolds, Clint Eastwood. He has appeared with them all. Once. What a performance he gave in the movie Rat Race. It almost got him the lead in Willard. Then he made a very important film, Bikini Beach. Remember that? He played a sand dab in Heat. Then, in quick succession, he was really hot. He made The Man with the X-Ray Eyes and Enter Laughing and Kelly's Heroes. Those pictures they really make it easy to sum up his movie career in one word. Over. And you remember, again he's faking them. Don't fake the laughter. But he's going to make a sensational comeback because next week, Don starts his own life story. He's going to film Deep Mouth.
Thank you, Jack. Now I'd like you to meet Pat Henry. Pat worked and traveled with Frank Sinatra for years, which is one of the reasons Frank went into retirement. Very funny comedian, Mr. Pat Henry.
Thank you, David. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, there's something about Don Rinkles very few people know. First of all, Don was born an only twin. And to look at Don, you know he wasn't a very pretty baby. In fact, at birth, when the doctor held him up, he slapped him right in the face.
when his mother saw him, she slapped the doctor in the face. As you know, Don was a bottle-fed baby. Even his mother didn't trust him up close. Again, on the good side of all the kids at school, Don would tell him he had ESP. Unfortunately, he was trying to spell car. But you want to know what kind of a guy Don really is? He once invited Jewel Gibbons over for lunch. He served him poison ivy.
One of Don's closest friends couldn't be with us tonight because he's up in Canada filming on location, but he insisted on being a part of tonight's roast. So, ladies and gentlemen, direct from Montreal, here's one of Hollywood's foremost actors, Mr. Kirk Douglas.
Thank you, Dean. I'm sorry to be up here in Montreal when you're roasting Rinkles down there. That's always been my favorite dish, roast weasel. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. After all, weasels have feelings too. But actually, I owe a great deal to my good friend Don. You see, when an actor prepares for a character, he gets ideas from observing real people all around him. And Don Rinkles has always been a real character. Now, in many pictures, I patterned my characterizations after him. For example, I'm doing a picture up here in Montreal right now that's based a little bit on Don. It's called Mousy. Now, if it was really based on Don completely, it would have been called The Rat. I remember that in Spartacus, I played a gladiator who fought more than 300 men to death. That was based on Don. He can't get along with anybody either. Yeah, Don gave me the inspiration for the dual role of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You know anybody more two-faced than Don? He also gave me my characterization for the trumpet player in Young Man with a Horn, because he's another blowhard with a lot of lip. Now, in The Bad and the Beautiful, though, it was 50-50. I used myself for the beautiful and him for the bad. And in Champion, my prize fighter like Don didn't know when to quit. And finally, in my last picture, Scalawag, I played a peg-leg pirate who, like Don, doesn't have a leg to stand on, but he sure knows how to steal the money and run. Good luck, Don.
Our next guest is the great impressionist, Mr. Rich Little. Yes, sir, Rich can be anybody he wants to be. Why he chose to be Rich Little, I'll never know. When you're in the business as long as me, you'll know how to read them lines, baby. A really great talent, Mr. Rich Little.
Thank you, Dean, for that strange introduction. Don, I'm a nice guy.
I'm so delighted that Carol Shannon could be here this evening instead of staying at home and watching Milt Chamberlain drop basketballs in her mouth.
Hey, it really is an honor to be here tonight, to pay tribute to this truly outstanding human being, Don Rinkles. Not many people know this, but Don recently volunteered to take part in a series of experiments being conducted at the UCLA Medical Center.
See, they're trying out new drugs on Don to see if they're safe for rats. See, I did that as myself. But, I'm gonna laugh. The hell with the impressions. That's what you've been saying for years, right? Why don't you go home and take a warm bath? Why don't you rub a duck drum? Hey, I've really been looking forward to this occasion. In fact, a few nights ago, I had a dream about Don Rickles. Just my luck. Actually, it was more a nightmare. I dreamt that all the world's major political leaders had gathered at the White House in Washington for a conference to bring peace to the world. And in my dream, Don Rickles was President of the United States. And he was greeting them all. Now, here are some of the things that President Rickles was saying in my dream. King Faisal of Saudi Arabia, so glad you could come. Hope you find a parking place for your camel. Anyway, then, may I say something, Your Highness? And I say this from the bottom of my heart. You gotta be the ugliest king I've ever seen in my life. Your face was a building and be condemned. Anyway, gang. Mopsy Tom. Oh, I love you. You're a wonderful little guy. You little taggy. I know you got a lot on your mind, but try and remember next time. No starch in the car, huh? Fidel Castro. What are you doing here tonight, you hockey puck? What'd you do, get a note from the Russians saying you could take the night off? Incidentally, is that a beard or you sticking your head under your armpit? Anyway, gang. Is he coming towards me? Huh? If you see teeth, it's not an ivory hunt. Anyway, gang. Isn't this fun, huh, Don? Huh? Isn't this fun staying up late and everything, huh? Isn't this great and this better than sitting around the house discussing your next series? Anyway, gang. Hey, look who's here, all the way from the Soviet Union. Mr. and Mrs. Brezhnev. Don't tell me. Let me guess which one is which. Huh? Hey, Premier Tanaka of Japan. I saw. What are you looking so scared for, you hockey puck? John Wayne's not here tonight. Hey, the last time I was in Tokyo, I met your beautiful wife and your lovely kids. And I must say, that's quite a set of Tanaka she's got there. And then all of a sudden, I awoke. The dream was over. I was awakened by the telephone. I picked it up. It was Don Rickles' agent telling me he wanted $75,000 for appearing in my dream. You know, because of Don's biting style of humor, some people have the idea that he has a cruel streak. Don't you believe it? And so, knowing what a fine person Don Rickles really is, it hurts me when I hear stories about him that I know to be false. And I would like to take this opportunity to deny some of these nasty rumors. In the first place, it's not true that when Don was a little boy, he used to hide his grandmother's bedpan in the freezer. Simply untrue. Nor is it true that he staples worms to the ground so that birds trying to pull them out will get hernias. It's not true that Don once said to Pope Paul, "Tell me, Your Holiness, how come a guy as successful as you never married?" And it is absolutely untrue that in Don's home there is a roll of sandpaper in the guest bathroom. All these stories are completely false. Don Rickles is the kindest, sweetest, nicest person you will ever meet. And I am the Queen of Romania. Well, our next speaker is one of Hollywood's outstanding actors, Telly Savalas.
a man whose talent outshines his head. Ladies and gentlemen, the star of Kojak, Mr. Telly Savalas.
Blow the whistle on you, baby. Thank you, Dave. You know, they say that hate and love are very close emotions. And Don Rickles here is proof of that because he's one of the few people I hate to love. And I can say that sincerely. Because for a long time now, Don has been one of my, or he claims to be one of my best friends. During our early days in New York, he used to babysit for me. He's much more mature, you know. Don and I were inseparable. We had the kind of friendship that nothing could ever break up. It lasted until he moved across the street. But to this day, I know I can count on him. In any emergency, Don, he's always right there when he needs me. And you know, I played a very big part in Don's life. I was the one who introduced him to Barbara. Barbara, I'm sorry. Barbara's his wife, so I get to pick up the litter. I also helped straighten her tooth before she married Don, and she wound up with this molar. You know, Don and I made a picture together in Yugoslavia. It's called Kelly's Heroes. Yugoslavia. Forget it. One of the few places in the world where you can still enjoy yourself without having a good time. After the movie was completed, the whole gang chipped in, presented Don with a gift certificate for 25 electric shock treatments. Someone wants to find an actor as a person who tries to be everything but himself. In Don Rickles' case, believe me, anything else but himself would be an improvement.
An affair like this would not be complete without our next guest. He's famous for his after-dinner speeches. He's one of the legends of show business, and he certainly needs no introductions. But here he is, a wonderful man.
I come here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on this solemn and solemn occasion to salute our dearly departed friend, Don Rickles. Words alone cannot convey the grief that I feel in my heart for this wonderful man who was taken away from us all too soon. By the hand of our heavenly Father. However, we can all take solace knowing that Don has gone and entered that big stage door in the sky. To join the other greats from the halcyon days of show business. Such luminaries as George M. Cohan, Alice Olsen, and Ricardo Cortez. Don Rickles shall not pass this way again, and for that we can all be grateful. But let me just for a moment recount to you those last poignant days in Don's life. Before the final curtain ran down for eternity, his lovely wife Barbara
came to his deathbed with her new fiancé, George Bush. Under that crisis of hatred and cruelty was a layer of warmth and love. And under that layer, ladies and gentlemen, was another layer of even more hatred and cruelty. There's much more I can say, but I have to leave. I'm doing a moral Griffith. And now it is the request of the family that we all get into our limousines and drive out to Don, final resting place, the Forest Lawn Animal Cemetery. All I can say is really fine. Yes, you can.
That's Mr. Charlie Callis, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome a great astronaut and a great pal of our Man of the Week, Captain Eugene Cernan.
Thank you very much, Dean. I very sincerely want to say I'm very proud to be called a friend of Don's. And it's certainly a privilege to share with you this evening this honor. I guess you'd call it an honor that you're bestowing upon Don, because from what I've heard, you deserve it all. The real reason I'm here this evening is that I've been credited with what some people, with what many call a remarkable accomplishment. I'm one of a handful of men who have achieved the near impossible. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I, Gene Cernan, have actually spent 10 whole minutes with Don Rickles. Without belling him in the mouth. I've known Don for quite a few years. As a matter of fact, that may be one of the main reasons that I chose to go to the moon. Hopefully to get a little peace and quiet for a change. And wouldn't you know it, while we're out there 250,000 miles away from home on our way to the moon, someone decided to pipe up your act, Don, up into the spacecraft. I later found out that our mission was a little bit more than just a lunar landing, but it was somewhat of an endurance test. They were actually checking our threshold of pain. But you know, very sincerely, Don, you would have made a great astronaut. I really do mean that. If we decided to send Don Rickles to the moon, I know we'd all save a lot of money, because I'm sure the vote in America would be for a one-way trip. God bless you.
Our next speaker has never met Don Rickles. Boy, that's a lucky guy. But he asked especially if he could come here tonight just to pay tribute to him. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Mr. Foster Brooks.
Thank you very much. As the Puerto Rican gentleman just told you, I have never met Don Rickles. In fact, he's probably wondering what I'm doing here. He has never even seen. He has never seen me before. He has never heard of me, and our paths have never crossed. However, Mr. Rinkles, you and I do have an indirect relationship. You see, I'm fooling around with your wife. So you see, we do have something in common. I hope you understand, Don, that we have tried to keep this very, very discreet. So don't tell anybody, will you? My wife would be furious if she found out about it. Don, I really must compliment you on your spouse, Mrs. Pickles. I say that because she's a real dilly. And I must also admit you have a very lovely home. Incidentally, you're out of scotch. And if you happen to think of it, pick up some pretzels. You know, Don, what your wife and I love to do most? Watching you while you're on TV. When you're on, we just laugh and chuckle and giggle, and sometimes we even turn the sound on. And we are always sad when you finish your act. It means you're on your way home and I better cheese it. Which reminds me, you're out of Velveeta, too. Now, please, Don, don't blame your lovely wife for any of this. Our getting together was all my doing. It's all my fault. I happen to be the one who answered her ad in Hollywood Free Press. You know, your wife thinks very, very highly of you, Don. She tells me you are a wonderful man. And I know that you must be to put up with all her snoring. She tells me that since she's been Mrs. Rinkles, she says every day with you is Thanksgiving. By golly, that's what she gets for marrying the turkey.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for revenge. Here's our man of the week, the merchant of venom, Mr. Don Rickles.
Mr. Chairman, honored guests, Monsignor Duffy, and Rabbi Kinberg, and Deacon Leroy. Some church in the back, no Deacon Leroy. Well, kiss my gathering. It is a, without question, in fairness to Mr. Dean Martin, this has been one of the longest evenings I've ever spent in my life, except for the drunk, who was just charming. I know the hour is late. The dinner was absolutely fantastic, I must say that. A bowl of peanuts and water with a guppy in it. One of the cheapest. I would like to tell you something about this. They make it seem to you out there in television land that we're all here with big turkey dinner or something going. These people are all called, and my name is mentioned. Like he don't care. He's at home with his wife going, everybody loves him. He doesn't know he's here right now. But he's a millionaire, and he says, hey, as a favor, I'll come down and we'll kid with the Jew for a couple hours. I say to you, Dean, with all sincerity, if Italy goes to war, so help me, I'll back the other side. Can you imagine if Italy was at war and he was a general? Hey, I think we ought to attack. But I'd like to say, I'd like to clear up a matter right off the bat and tell you from the top. Tonight I'm very delighted because this is a long road. I had my first big break on the Dean Martin show through Dean and Greg Garrison, his producer, when they put me on a show for the first time with every celebrity in Hollywood, and I was completely soaking, perspiring to the death of me. And I'd like to say right out in front, so it's not lost in tape, that I thank you, Dean, really, because if it wasn't your wonderful belief and believing in me and Greg, really, maybe this day would not have come about, and I'm very grateful to you. Dean said he'll drink to that. God bless you, Dean. His lovely wife sits by the bed every night saying, try to reach the medicine. Because when you go this time, a lot of women are going to collect. No, he's got a lovely wife. His lovely wife. What's her name? Kasha? Catherine, she's a lovely girl. You'll find her in the lobby later going, would you buy me a sweater? Poverty-stricken broad. It's embarrassing, really. I'd like to say, going down the line, first of all, Nipsey Russell, a dear friend. Many, many times you've asked to hang out with me, but I felt it embarrassing. I, being a Jew, I don't need no watermelon truck around me. And don't put that over your head. A couple of guys from Georgia will come up here. But I love you, Nipsey. Black or white, it doesn't matter to me. Our society today, we are all brothers in arms, as Nipsey told you people out there. We just got to get America to buy that. I love Nipsey. Oh, we have a seal in the crowd. I'd like to say to Telly Savalas from the bottom of my heart, really, Telly, I kid you, I've never liked you as an actor. And Telly's the kind of guy with no money that keeps saying to the Russian girls, you want to fool around. Now, his wife is listening in, that's inhuman, because he has a wonderful family and a wonderful wife, and Telly and all of us in Yugoslavia were lonely, and we thought of our wives constantly. May we be paralyzed, God forbid, if we would lie. But being in Yugoslavia, the biggest excitement we had was watching Tito's dog go to the bathroom. So you must understand. Bob Newhart made the claim that he was my closest friend. I have never met Bob Newhart. I'll
put it to you another way. Bob Newhart goes to many gay parties. That's why you hear him going, you want to dance? Cliff Robinson is a fantastic actor. Cliff is sort of like Clint Eastwood, kind of down, kind of, well, you died, Cliff. That's what you did. Cliff is the type of guy, you're in a raft and you're alone and you're a survivor, and Cliff Robinson is the guy with you, and you want the shark to bite you on the tushy, so you have a little excitement. But you're a fantastic actor, Cliff. You've told me that many, many times. And I wish you and your career a lot of luck, really. You're marvelous. And thank you for coming. We've been so close. I met the guy once buying a paper. But thanks, Cliff, for coming by. I know how busy you are with your busy schedule, standing by the studio gate at Warner Brothers saying to the top of the gate, won't anybody see me? But good luck. Rowan and Martin, you were completely bad. But I say this to Dick and Dan, one of the great teams. They hang out together. When Dan went on his raft around the world, Dick was saying, I hope the wind shifts. But they're a great team. They've had great success. They're going to be on NBC again this year. Look at this, they both went, oh, wait. I don't know. I hope not. But I love you both, and you're marvelous men. Jack Klugman, I say from the bottom of my heart, Tony Randall feels he can work alone in the series. You are annoying. I never knew you had that much hair. You can't even tell. To see Jack Klugman in real life, you can skew of him until he survives. Joey Bishop, we won't bother you. I know you're just resting. Big kid, Joey. I know him a long time. I said to Joey when I got married, I said, Joey, I got married. He said, hey, you want to see my car? Joey and Cliff Robinson can hang out together. You two, you could just sit in the steam room and watch towels roll up. Lorne Greene, one of the great Jewish men of our time, who was, that's kind of funny because we all have backgrounds and he's a great American, and to be Pop Cartwright and stand around, it always struck me funny. I see this man in Bonanza saying, all right, boys, let's get the horses up. No Jew rallies horses around. No way. We sit in a big wagon and go, bring those horses over here. Rich Little, someday you gotta do you, and maybe your wife will leave you. You're a magnificent man, Foster Brooks. I cannot say your talent goes without speaking. You are a marvelous man, really. Pat Henry is my dear friend. He knows Frank Sinatra personally. In fact, they're that close. When Frank takes his car out, Pat runs in front of the car and checks for mines. You don't find guys with that kind of loyalty anymore. Frank did say to say hi to you, Dean. I know how much it means to you. Dean's the kind of guy you can say, God forbid, Frank Sinatra was hit by a bus. Well, I'm going to take my 9 and live right up on the green. And then Frank's going to hear your attitude, you're going to wind up in a hook in a garage in Chicago. Anyway, look at that, the big Irish guy went, what does that mean, Rose? You Irish guys, they don't know anything. You just know how to go to a picnic and take a can of beer and go, well, we need the Irish. Because we ain't going to put out no fire. You can bet on that. Well, isn't it the truth? Get in there, fucking Duncan! Get in there, Quinn! Get that fire out! And the Jewish guys are usually outside. More wood, Herbie, more wood. And the black man's on the corner going, I bet we get blamed for this too. And the Polish kid's going, for what? I'm a nice guy. Son of a gun, when you fool with the wife, you must light a match and blow up. And last but not least, Captain Cernan, I was overjoyed that this man would be here tonight. I must say, I was at the launch when Apollo 17 went to the moon. Many of us forget. Great courage and great Americans at a time of need with our country today, and I do not preach politics or just try to do jokes, but in this man I take exception, because he is a delightful, wonderful, great hero. And I must tell you, ladies and gentlemen, to see that rocket take off from the launch pad and to be with his family and his dear ones, and to watch this great, wonderful human being call me the night before and say, hey, Don, we're going to go to the moon. Listen, why don't you go over to the Tiki Club or what have you with the wife and have a couple of drinks and boom, boom. It was so casual and so beautiful that I just stood in awe and I was mesmerized by this great hero. I say to all of you Americans, and not to embarrass you, Gene, I thank you for being here tonight. Most important, these are all performers, but you are really outstanding gentlemen. I thank you for coming. Captain Steve. Dean just said, I'll go to the moon tonight. You would, but nobody would look up. I must say, from the bottom of my heart, really, and Kirk Douglas, who was so kind to appear here tonight. Kirk is a dear friend. I was over his house one night, and we had dinner, and I said, Kirk, how do you feel? He said, how's my body look? And I said, Rinkles. I know what I said. You keep playing everything back. Just keep drinking and say to yourself, your voice is not gone. He's wonderful. Can you tell he's 68? Anyway, Captain, his young wife's in the back. Is that how old he is? And you remember the joke? Tomorrow he dies. I must say, on behalf of my dear wife that Foster Brooks made some comments about, she is a lovely lady. When we were married, I will never forget, on the wedding night, she looked at me and went, this is exciting. In all honesty, to all you married folks out there, I say from my heart, my wife, I married a Valium. A Valium. The guy in the back, the Puerto Rican kid went, what the Valium? And the Mexican guy went, that's something you planted, dumb son. Anyway, gang. And the Italian guy, here's your Valium. Anyway, by the way, Phyllis Diller, who I love, really, when she was born, she must have hit the hospital wall. That's why the hair is, you know. She come out and the doctor went, oh, we missed Charlie. But I've seen many beautiful women in my lifetime. Phyllis, help her. She's a lovely comedian and a dear friend and a wonderful husband. Lord Donovan couldn't be here tonight. His cape blew up. On the wedding night, he stood on top of the sink and went, Batman! Anyway, I can say anything I want. Dan Rowan's sitting here going, you can't say that. What am I going to do? You and Dick did on your special, and here he is, Charlie and his monkey. Anyway, which wasn't bad, because that'll be picked up. Anyway, I'd like you to know that on behalf of my wife, Barbara, my dear mother in Florida, who I love dearly, and I spoke to her on the phone tonight, I said, Mom, I'm going to be on Dean Martin's show. And she said, send him my love. She used to know Gabby Hayes. Anyway, but on behalf of my manager, Joseph Scandori, one of the great Italians, really. He's not here tonight, his ice truck blew up. But on behalf of my manager, Mr. Scandori, my darling wife, Barbara, my mother, my two children, my mother-in-law, and my family, I have been blessed with one thing. My humor is aggressive, it is nonsense. The Newharts are dear friends, the Rowan and Martins, everybody on this dais tonight has made me feel a little bit important. Each day as an actor, when you take an approach with an image of being aggressive and strong, You must wake up every morning, as my father said. He said, Don, when you're different, your heart is open to a little ache. But remember, when you're different, you might capture all the stars. But the whole world will not rally around you. But you have a chance of having them notice you. So go home at night, put your head on the pillow, and thank God for what you've attained. And maybe God will look down and say, hey, I am grateful to you, son, for doing something different. I like to think that I am different. I like to think that the public will understand me. If they do, I am grateful. To all of you, I wish you what I have, as I say in my performance when I appear. People around you who care.
That's our show for tonight. I'd like to thank our guests. A very special thanks to our Man of the Week, Don Rinkles, a man who's free of all prejudices. He hates everybody equally. Good night, everybody. I'm on my way home, Catherine. Warm up the hot chocolate.
Celebrity Roast, coming to you from the MGM Grand Hotel in the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. The glittering city of excitement and laughter provides the scintillating backdrop for tonight's star-studded roast. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Ziegfeld Room, some of the world's greatest entertainers are here tonight. They're in Las Vegas in person as Dean Martin honors our Woman of the Hour, Angie Dickinson. With tonight's guests, Jimmy Stewart, Earl Holliman, Juliet Krause, Cindy Williams, Red Button, Jimmy Walker, LaWanda Page, Kathy Rigby, Joey Bishop, Rex Reed, Foster Brooks, Eve Arden, Jackie Mason, Orson Welles, Scatman Crothers, and your roastmaster, Dean Martin. With tonight's very special Woman of the Hour, Angie Dickinson.
Tonight we're gathered at the beautiful Megam Hotel here in Las Vegas to honor the most beautiful and popular cop in Hollywood. And Angie, you do look beautiful. Your hair, your eyes, your gown, and your bulletproof pantyhose. This should be quite a night. This is the first time we've honored a lady who became famous cruising the streets. In a car with a red light. As a teenager, Angie began to develop into the fine actress you know today. In fact, the boys in her high school class used to love to just sit and watch her develop. Well, Angie worked hard and became the big star she is today. However, playing a policewoman really had its effect on Angie's marriage. Every night when she and Burt Bacharach got into bed, Angie turned to Burt and said, I'd like to read you your rights. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the funniest young guys in television, Mr. Jimmy Walker.
Thank you, Dean.
Oh, that's all right.
What, no. We're here roasting Angie Dickinson, and she is very qualified for the role that she plays on Policewoman. She plays a cop named Pepper, and she's got a great shake. Only problem is that everybody wants to take the law into their own hands. No. And Angie says she likes her man tall, dark, and handsome. I can't believe she hasn't asked me out yet. And I watch Policewoman all the time. I dig the shows where she wears them disguises, you know, so people won't know she was a cop and everything like that. There was one where she wore this skimpy little bikini, you know, it's really one of those little skimpy ones. One sneeze would have belonged to a whole cover. And Earl Howland and Angie make a tremendous team. They were going to raid this massage parlor one time, and Earl told Angie that he was going in first. And if he wasn't out in an hour, go back to the police station without him. But I'll never forget the story where Angie was disguised as a madam. And it was the first time she ever saved Earl. Saved him $50.
Guest is a most talented young lady, Cindy Williams. We did a picture together, but we don't want to talk about that because it wasn't, they didn't release it. This thing escaped. There's a funny little gal, and boy, she's got a lot of vim and some vigor, too. Miss Cindy Williams.
Begin with a funny little story that happened to Angie last night here in the hotel. It seems she called down to room service and ordered up a tall, cool one filled with gin and ice, and they carried Dean up to her room. All kidding aside, I've been a fan of Dean's all my life, and I think he looked terrific. Doesn't he look terrific? Isn't it just amazing what an embalmer can do? But enough about people with talent. We're here to talk about Angie. And all kidding aside, I could go on for hours about television's first lady, about her beauty, her talent, her humanity. But it seems silly to talk about Mary Tyler Moore when we're here to honor this bimbo. Girl, you poor thing. But I've done some snooping around, and I have gathered a few little-known facts about Angie Dickinson. Recently, Angie was investigated by the FBI for going around saying that Jimmy Carter and Nipsey Russell share the same set of teeth. And this is a little fact that no one has ever known about Angie because she's extremely sensitive and modest about it. But this woman is so generous that she donates her free time, yes, what precious free time she has, to giving acting lessons to Charlie's Angels. I think
Earl Holliman plays the part of Sergeant Bill Crowley, that tough cop who rides around in the front seat of the patrol car with Angie Dickinson. He may be tough, but he's not too bright. If I was with Angie in a car, we'd be riding in the back seat. A fine actor, a fine gentleman, Mr. Earl Holliman.
Listen, this is a big pleasure for me because the first part I ever played in the movie,
I played an elevator operator. It was a Dean Martin picture called Scared Stiff. I remember well. I was scared and he was stiff. But I remember what he said to me as he stepped into the elevator. He said, take me to the airport and step on it. I suspected the Dean had a little drinking problem even then, because on elevators, you know, most people face the front, not the ceiling. But, of course, we're here tonight not to talk about Dean. We're here to... Well, I'm here to talk about the sexiest cop on TV. But since Telly Savalas couldn't make it... Before our policewoman show, Angie and I had never worked together, but we did know each other slightly. See, Angie is an animal lover, and I'm president of an organization called Actors and Others for Animals. And we try to find homes for animals that nobody wants. And that's how Angie came to our first meeting. She was trying to find a home for Don Rinkles. It wasn't until we started to do the series that we really got to know each other well. And I want to tell you, I know her very well, and I guarantee you, this is no dumb blonde. I know because I've seen her roots. But Angie likes to research her job. She goes down, she hangs around the local police stations, the actual police stations. Of course, there's a lot of raunchy stories, a lot of four-letter words. But I guess the cops have heard all that stuff before. Sweetheart, I love you. You know I do. Crazy about you. It's funny, every place I go around this country, people say, what's it like to work with Angie Dickinson? Gee, what's it like to work with Angie? Well, I gotta tell you guys, it's hard.
Gentlemen, a guy who never gets a dinner. Red Button!
It's a pleasure to be here, ladies and gentlemen, at this roast.
Oh, the Emmy is coming out.
Yeah. It is a pleasure. And as I stand here tonight, looking at you, Angie Dickinson, two things are running through my mind. The second one is, why are we giving a dinner? Why are we giving a dinner for Angie Dickinson? Some of the biggest people in history, in the history of the world. Never got a dinner. Never. The biggies. I mean the biggies. Dracula. Dracula who said as they drove a wooden stake through his heart, I hope it's just gas. Never got a dinner. Captain Bligh. Captain Bligh who said to Mr. Christian, first we'll have the whipping, then we'll play shuffleboard. Rip Van Winkle, who said to his wife after sleeping 20 years, fine thing, now that I'm all rested up, you got a headache. William Tell's son, Telly. That's Telly, a short, bald-headed kid. William Tell's son, who said to William as his father aimed at the apple, there must be an easier way to kill worms. The leading lady in King Kong, who said to Kong, that's the last time I sign up for computer dating. Never got a dinner, Billy Carter, who said to his brother Jimmy, I forgot to register. I've never had an opportunity to say this. I'm going to say this now. I've had a crush on you for years. I mean for years. The one thing you can do for me, which will be the culmination of my entire illustrious career, may I have a kiss? May I have a kiss in full view of this audience? Never kiss a cop on the mouth.
There he is, Jackie Mason, and he's beautiful.
Well, certainly a thrill to see me again. And I'm very happy for Angie having the opportunity to see me in person. I finally showed up as a personal favor to her because this girl has been in love with me for years. Thank God I kept it quiet. I'm not like that piano player with a big mouth. About me, nobody knows, because I feel if she's in love with me, it's nobody's business. I never told nobody. I never even told her. There wasn't even supposed to be a show in her honor. Couldn't figure out another way how to get close to me. Her husband knows about our relationship. You notice he's not here? He never goes in the same room when I'm with her together. I'll tell you something about her show. I don't know if you got time to listen. You might be busy too. She's got a great show. A lot of people like it. I don't know who they are. On all these television shows, I noticed that they catch every crook in a second. And all the policemen and all the police departments all over America can't catch one crook, and they're at it all their lives. As soon as a guy gets a television show, he catches any crook he wants. I say if we could get the police departments out of the police stations and onto television, there would be no crime in this whole country. Everything on television is either violence or sex. Why don't they go on? Music, for instance. How often do you hear about music on television? Don't you think music is more important than sex? I mean, for a man in your condition. Don't fall asleep while I'm talking. I think music is more important than sex. I always thought so. Then I found out a strange thing, that if I don't hear a concert for a year and a half, it don't bother me. First of all, sex is life. What are they ashamed of? Well, let's be honest about it. Isn't sex life? Without sex, would you be it? I think you would.
It's always a privilege to have Jimmy Stewart at these clam bakes, not just because he's such a distinguished actor, but because I love to hear him talk. He's so slow and easy on the draw.
How slow is he, Dino?
Well, he's so slow that in his last picture with John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart played a doctor who had to tell the Duke that he had barely 2 weeks left to live. By the time Jimmy finished telling him, John Wayne only had 2 minutes left. Here he is, a superstar, Mr. Jimmy Stewart.
That's it, huh?
No, Dean, I'd like to pay you a compliment. You look niftier in a black jacket than any burnt potato I've ever seen. And, hello, Angie. Right. I'm here tonight not only to pay tribute to this pretty young lady, but also to apologize. I'm sorry. You see, the last time I saw Angie was over a year ago. It was at a Hollywood dinner dance. As a matter of fact, it was the Golden Globes Award. Angie won one of them, which was appropriate. She was sitting next to me, and the band was playing this kind of deafening raucous and roll music. And the raucous and roll? Yes, yeah. The dance floor was so crowded, it looked like sardines packed in a can doing a fertility dance. So I shouted to Angie, I said, dancing out there's just got to be a hassle. And she said, yes, I'd love to. And so I shouted back, you'd love to what? And she said, I'd love to do the hustle. And before I knew it, she had me by the hand. We were out in the middle of the floor. Now, let me start by explaining that the hustle is a modern dance, and I'm not what you might call your typical hustler.
That's true.
But if you're my age, you shouldn't dance at discotheques. You know, at our time of life, you know, it isn't really dancing, you know, it's just committing suicide. One joint at a time. Don't you think so?
Well, it depends on which joints you go to.
They had a live young band at this dance. I was with Angie. His name Dow Jones and his industrial averages. I mean, I appreciate good music, but I'm really not much for go-go dancing. Most of my go-go's already gone. You see, this thing about the hustle is you start out facing your partner, and then you shuffle back and away a couple of steps, and then you turn, and then you shuffle back and away again, and then you turn, and so forth. Well, I got a rotten sense of direction, and that night I remember I did a shuffle, and I found myself shuffling again and backing away, and then I found I was alone. I was outside in the parking lot. I forgot to get them to stamp my hand. They wouldn't let me in. So I went home. But tonight, Angie, I just finally like to thank you for that dance. It was awful nice. And next time I'll bring my Arthur Murray Foxtrot chart.
Okay, I love you, and I will always love you. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Now, I'm not going to roast you. I'm going to tell you what I do not like about your show. I do not appreciate the writing on the show. I saw one story, I did not believe it till with my own eyes. The robber goes into the bank, says to the teller, give me your money. The teller gives him the money. Okay? The teller stops on an alarm, steps down on it. The cops are there. This is genius. Took the money, went to another cage, opened up an account, and on the way out, they gave him a toaster.
Mr. Joey Bishop. Scatman Crothers.
I'm really happy to be here and meet lovely Angie Dickinson. Yeah, I'm a big fan of her show. But one thing I think that there's a little bit too much violence. I counted 36 shootings, 12 killings, 44 assaults, and 61 muggings. That was just the opening title. You know, as a garbage man, I believe if you want to find out about people, check their barrel. Because you get a flash from the trash. Well, it's a pleasure picking up Angie's trash. She got the best shaped barrels in Beverly Hills. It was a little different in my old neighborhood. Trash barrels didn't last 5 minutes. We used to put the garbage in a fancy box, put it on the porch, and wait for somebody to steal it. Man, that was a bad neighborhood. Shabby, run down, and ugly. It was the worst shape in LaWanda Page.
Hold on there, Turk.
All I've been telling me what you want to tell me. I wanted to say it. Come on up and tell me face to face. You're going to stop me.
Don't say I ain't gonna make it. Honey, hold on.
All right, go on and tell me something.
Don't get me started. Don't get me round. Black Kojak. Last time I saw a face like yours, honey, a jockey was feeding it sugar.
They could push your face in batter and make gorilla cookies.
About you, except using your head for bowling for dollars. Bug off, Slim. I'm looking forward to my 40th birthday.
Yeah, well, just keep on looking because you're going in the wrong direction.
Women want men who have lived, honey.
Well, I've lived, girl. What you talking about? I've lived.
I mean recently. So long, sucker.
Thank you, Scat and LaWanda Page. Vision viewers really love the way Angie Dickinson plays the part of Sergeant Pepper Anderson on Policewoman. But what do real policewomen think about it? Tonight, we have one of those policewomen with us to give her opinion. Sergeant Gladys Ormfeet.
About being a policewoman. I'm going to tell everybody out there what a phony you are. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bare my chest.
I don't know about you folks, but I'm getting out of here.
As for her, she gets a credit for making women cops famous. What does she know? I'm the real Flatfoot.
That ain't the only thing that's flat, baby.
Lush. And don't you just love the way that Angie Dickinson runs around in disguises all the time? Well, she's nothing. Zip, zero, zilch. In the police department, I'm known as the woman of 1,000 faces.
Why'd you bring that one?
Just don't look down, help me. Now let's get back to the blonde bamboozler. She's pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. She's not a real cop. She just gets by on her body. You know, I went jogging with her the other day, and when she hung up her sweatshirt. Now, calm down, everybody makes mistakes. When she hung up her sweatshirt, it was still bouncing. She usually sets all the time to get choice assignments, the best cases. Me, they send to the airport to sniff packages. And did you ever see her trying to trap a peeping Tom standing in front of a window in her lingerie? Well, it's not like that in real life, Angie. I tried it. The peeping Tom crept up, reached in, and pulled down the window shade. I mean, look at her. Take away the blonde hair, the gorgeous face, and the sexy body, and what have you got?
You.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just couldn't sit back and watch this imposter portray a policewoman on television without letting the public know what a real policeman feels and suffers for the long hours. The ever-present danger. My life on the line from moment to moment. But do I complain? No! I'm a dedicated public servant, protecting the citizens of the city. I've never asked for anything, and I've never received anything.
I have something for you.
Oh, really, Angie? What?
A citation for overacting.
Policewoman is amazed at how Angie Dickinson can go through those action scenes with all that violence and still come out unscratched, with every hair in place. Well, there are two reasons. One, she's got a hell of a hairdresser, and the other reason is our next guest, Angie Dickinson's double.
Thank you, Dean.
I know you all find it difficult in telling Angie and me apart. That's why they picked me for her double. Because I look exactly like her. In the beginning, before I chipped my tooth. But I love this girl. For her, I'd climb the highest mountain, swim the deepest river, and jump from the tallest building, which I've done many times. Without me, Angie Dickinson wouldn't be where she is today. Alive.
Here she is again, Miss Luana. Hey, Luana! Hey!
Well, thank you, Drano. Drino. Not the way your face is flushed. I'm so happy to be back on another celebrity roast. You know, there are three groups of guests that appear on these shows. One group comes on because they're personal friends of the guest of honor. And the second group comes on because they're wild and crazy. Then there's those guests like me who are here for one reason. They have a beautiful body. I got it, honey. You ain't the only one, you know.
I happen to be real good at body work, baby.
Well, you ain't gonna dip my fender. Just cool down, you heavy-breathing hunky. It's a real privilege for me to be here tonight. Standing between lovely and loaded in obscene.
Ladies and gentlemen, my good buddy, a great genius, Mr. Orson Welles.
The TV policewoman, Angie, you've been forced to descend into some pretty squalid areas. Did you ever dream you'd sink to this? The MGM brand is very grand, but what of the rest of us? The male contingent is a sorry list of molting Merry Andrews, faded japesters, jaded jesters, and one obese and superannuated Shakespeare. Ruth Buzzy, of course, is something else. Just what, I don't know, but something. One can understand her feeling a certain animosity toward Angie. Ruth, after all, is a woman who has never defended her honor, or had the opportunity. Wasn't it Jimmy Walker whose flashing wit was directed at Angie's frailty? This from a man so physically inconsequential that he has to bring along a friend to cast a shadow? For the first 5 years of his life, his parents thought he was a clarinet. And Earl Holliman, where does he get off? A man who developed a whole acting career on just 3 little words. Be careful, Pepper. We come now to a performer whose very name is the tip-off on the general tone of these proceedings. Red Buttons. That's not a name, it's a condition. There's not a man at this table who hasn't, in the words of our great president, lusted for you in his heart. We've all attempted the impossible. We've tried to put you down, and the truth is that none of us are up to it. Who is? Who can roast a rainbow or insult a perfect rose?
Before Angie Dickinson took over the role of Sergeant Pepper Anderson, the police department assigned her their top instructor, Inspector Foster Brooks.
Now, I'd like to turn my attention. I'd like to turn my attention to my favorite female, as far as Sergeant Cooper. I taught this young lady everything she knows, and whenever I see her on television, my chest swells with pride, and that goes double for her. It's pretty obvious that Sergeant Cooper has great physical attributes. She looks, well, she's built like a brick precinct house. I taught Sergeant Pampers one of my old police tricks. Keep a gun strapped to your ankle. That always worked well for her until one day she was disarmed by a midget mugger. I really enjoyed working with Sergeant Pope. During undercover training, we had a break up massage parlor. She went in as a well, those people would grab you all over. And I went in as a customer. I solved the case immediately. But I didn't tell you for 2 weeks. In all the time that Sergeant Pippin and I were together, she only did one thing wrong. I took her on a stakeout and told her to be careful. Make sure you don't expose yourself. Unfortunately, she did. And I forgot all about the case.
Our next guest is a distinguished motion picture and television critic, Mr. Rex Reed. We asked Rex if he would take some time from his busy schedule and review our show tonight. And here he is, our critic at large, Mr. Rex Reed.
Actually, I would go anywhere to honor Angie Dickinson, the star policewoman. After all these years, Angie, you're finally paying for the sins of Rachel Cade. She looks radiant this evening, as always, of course. It's easy to look radiant when you're sitting across from a guy with a glow on. And as I survey the dais here, all these folks, reminds me of a picture I just reviewed, The Voyage of the Damned. As for the performances this evening, well, who could forget Earl Holliman, Angie's co-star. He provided one of the brightest spots of the evening. I'm pleased to note it was a real crowd pleaser. It was the moment he sat down. And the great Jimmy Stewart. Oh, wow. Jimmy won an Oscar in 1940 for the Philadelphia Story. And again this year, he will be appearing at the Academy Awards. to try to finish his acceptance speech. And I love Red Buttons. He delivered another great monologue with faultless timing. He started out slow and maintained that pace. The lighting, actually, for the show was serviceable, but it did leave something to be desired. The light should have been turned off, especially when Ruth Buzzy came on. LaWanda Page was the fashion hit of the evening. She was outfitted on a new line of ecology wear, a recycled hefty bag. At the podium for a short turn, mercifully, was the talented Joey Bishop, America's most famous substitute host. And as usual, Joey brought along his stock in trade, substitute jokes. In just a few moments, we'll all witness that wonderful climactic moment when our lovely guest of honor will rise to thank all of her friends and express her gratitude. I just really can't wait for that moment. We've been here so long, Angie thinks she's at the Emmy Awards. But I just want you all to know that tomorrow morning, after this show is telecast to millions of people, and I show up at the Unemployment Bureau, I'm going to be in some swell company.
It's time to meet the star of policewoman, Angie Dickinson, Our Lady of the Hour. I wish it could be spent with me. Ladies and gentlemen, your favorite and mine, Miss Angie Dickinson.
Here's my chance to respond to the dais, and I lost my police manual on how to handle derelicts. Really, the jokes the comedians told tonight, you should get your own show, Bomb Squad. Let me see, Red Buttons, I think we'll start with you. While you were up here, I couldn't help thinking it's incredible how far you've come with your nightclub and television career. You know, despite your obvious handicap, your movie career. Do you up here and tell nasty things about my friends? Can you stand up and help me?
I'll do anything you wish. Anything, sure, anything. But I don't know if I can stand. Oh, yeah, I can stand up. There, I made it. What do you want me to do?
What would you like to do?
Anything you want.
Well, I don't know. I guess I'll just thank my friends and you take it from there.
Well, remember the famous words of Earl Shive, who once said to Angie Dickinson, "You don't need a whole paint job, just let me touch up your body."
Speaking of bodies, that reminds me of Ruth Buzzy. I'm glad to see you here again. Ruth, take it, Dean.
Nobody knows this, but Ruth Buzzy once auditioned for the Gold Diggers. And the next day, the price of gold went down $10.
Scatman Crothers, you were funny tonight.
Scatman drove up to Las Vegas in one of those new cars with an airbag in it. LaWanda Page.
Next Next week, as a television and newspaper critic, you have no equal.
That's true, Rex. You have no equal. Superiors, yes, but no equal.
And what an evening this has been for Eve Arden, our Miss Brooks.
Yes, Miss Brooks. Finally reunited with her son, Foster.
And Jimmy Walker, what can I say about you?
You could say skinny.
As Ed McMahon would say, how skinny is he?
Fatten him up and you can use him for dental floss. Or if he had holes in his tuxedo, it'd look like a clarinet. Or I've seen more meat on a goose pimple. I feel like I'm back with Jerry.
Well, one of the reasons that I love doing Policewoman is, of course, Earl Holliman.
Well, Earl Holliman must love playing the cop because before the show, he spent a half hour frisking Cindy Williams.
What I love about Earl, he is so helpful. He's given so much of himself to others.
And what he's left with isn't too thrilling.
Cindy Williams, thank you for coming.
You know, on the Laverne and Shirley show, Cindy works in a brewery, so when she got up here yesterday, I took her for a tour through the wine country. My dressing room.
Kathy Rigby, I've admired you since you won that gold medal on the parallel bars. You know, Dean, you've really got to be some kind of athlete to work on those bars.
I don't know. I've never been on bars, but I've been under a lot of them. Well, I guess that's about it.
Out of jokes?
No, out of booze. It's over. Oh.